Hey, what's up guys, it's Arun from FBTV and this is the iPhone 4S. Today I'm going to be reviewing this very old phone in 2017. Let's see how this guy stacks up almost 6 years since the original launch date. The iPhone 4S was released back in 2011. We're going to be matching it up against all of our tests. So as always, I'm splitting up this phone's capabilities into 4 separate categories: design, phone messaging, camera, and games. So let's kick things off with design. Now this phone has a pretty sleek looking design that's quite iconic with Apple's iPhone systems. This design kind of kicked off with the iPhone 4 and it's been keeping going even now with the iPhone 5 SE. They've kind of dropped it with the iPhone 6 and above. This really does scream that iconic Apple design, and those square edges are really nice to grip. As far as specs go on this phone, it only has Bluetooth 4.0 and 3G. So you're not going to be able to use 4G networking, so when you use the internet or watch YouTube videos over cellular, it's going to be a little bit slow on this phone. As far as storage options go, you can get it in 16, 32, or like me, I got it in 64 gigabytes. As far as software goes, it only runs iOS 9, which is technically 2015 software. So in 2016 they updated to iOS 10, and in 2017 we'll be getting iOS 11. So you just want to keep that in mind. The more you upgrade it, the slower it's going to get. Powering this little guy is an A5X processor. This is a very similar processor to the iPad 2 and the iPad mini 1. So if you watched my iPad mini 1 review, you'll know that the performance of these two devices are basically identical. There's literally no difference as far as performance goes. Now this phone actually has a pretty decent battery. It's got a 6-hour battery life, but one thing you want to think about is many of these phones are pretty old. Like this phone over here is literally 6 years old. This phone was bought back in 2011, so the battery in this guy is kind of dying now, and I can only get around 1.5 hours to maybe 2 hours of battery life. Moving on to phone messaging. Now this guy is running iOS 9, so let's not kid ourselves here guys. There's not much it can't do as far as phone messaging goes. It's going to be able to rival your iPhone 6, iPhone 7, and basically any phone messaging. It'll take a little bit longer to start up the apps like Skype and FaceTime. Maybe even Messenger might take a bit longer. But there's nothing this phone really can't do as far as messaging or phone calls go. In fact, it's actually quite nice to hold it because it's such a small size. FaceTime calls with this are quite nice. It's quite light and it has a pretty decent camera. Speaking of camera, let's take a look at the back camera. The back camera is an 8 megapixel camera capable of 1080p video at 30 frames per second. The front facing camera is capable of 720p video also at 30 frames per second. Unfortunately, I couldn't really find how many megapixels the front camera is, so if you know, just drop a comment down below and let everyone else know how many megapixels that front camera really is. Now this phone doesn't really do any form of slow motion considering it's only taking 30 frames per second, so I'm just going to give you an example of what all the video looks like and some photos as well right now.
I can feel the night when I see the daylight. I should be alright when I see the night.
Finally, let's take a look at some games. I downloaded Mortal Kombat 4, Nova 3, and a bit of Crossy Road. So let's see how it stacks up in all of these games. Starting it off with Mortal Kombat 3, we can see perfect gameplay, and in fact I'll switch to some Mortal Kombat 4 so you guys can see so well optimized for these games. It's such an old phone and it runs them like a complete boss. Moving on to Nova 3, you can see just the same kind of optimization. Does drop a little bit of frames on some of the heated battles, but as far as basic gameplay goes, pretty good. And it does take quite long to load the game, I have to note that as well. And finally, let's take a look at some Crossy Road. Crazy thing is, it takes forever to start up this game, but once you're in, there's no lag, there's no problem at all, it just plays it completely fine. So finally, let's wrap it up. Should you buy this phone in 2017? Now, I thought this would be a pretty tough thing to discuss, but actually now that I think about it, if you're buying this for a first time kid, it's a really good phone. In fact, some kids I know who are only around 8 or 9 years old have just gotten this phone and they love it because for them, they don't know what a really good phone feels like, and it's going to be able to do everything that they can think of, plus it's way cheaper. So anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm really curious to see if any of you guys are rocking one of these phones, or even a much older phone like a flip phone. So if you're using one of those phones, let me know in the comment section below, and also tell me any thoughts you have on how I make my videos. I really do appreciate the feedback. And as always guys, I'll catch you all in the next one.